All right, hello and good evening, and welcome to I Am My Morning Coffee, the Evening Brew. Y'all come on in and let me know that you are here. Listen, I have had to command my spirit today to come on here and to join you all, and so I am excited to be here. We're going to have a mighty good time, so y'all let me know who is here with me on this evening. Welcome to the Evening Brew. I am excited to see y'all. Hey, Olivia, I'm happy to see you. I'm so glad to see my sister. So happy to see you. Y'all go ahead and like, tag, share. This show is special. This is going to be very intentional. As I try to be with all of my shows. I Am My Morning Coffee is definitely a platform that I have given over to God, and I think that tonight is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Hey, Regina, nice to see you. Thank you. All right, so we have North Carolina here, my sister Olivia, and y'all let me know where you're watching from as well. And I need to try to remember to look at the camera. I love looking at y'all, looking at y'all comments. So y'all come on in. I give you just a moment to come in, like, share. Let me know if the video is okay, the sound is okay. I want to make sure that everything is perfect and everything is coming across with excellence. So y'all let me know if you can hear me. Make sure you can see me. And then we'll go ahead and get this party started on tonight. Y'all let me know who is in the room. And please like and share. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Regina. I thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Olivia. I'm trying to step outside of my comfort zone a bit and do something a little different. I've been working with a stylist. So pray for me. So this is all new territory. All new territory. Pray for your girl. So y'all come on in. It's a little bit choppy. Okay, no. We don't want choppy. I do not want to do choppy. So let's see. How can we cut that down? All right. Let me know if that's better. Let me know if that's better. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Sharita from Jamaica. All right. We have somebody in from Jamaica, so I'm happy to see you. Maybe on your end. Okay, can somebody let me know if our sound is good? I want to make sure that our sound is okay. Make sure that we're not choppy. Make sure that we're flowing good. So all of the information is coming across good. Want to make sure that we are all clear. Make sure we are all clear to go. All right. So it seems that we may be okay. If not, y'all let me know and in the comments, and we'll okay. So I am getting messages that it is a tad bit choppy. Let's see, how can we quickly troubleshoot that? Because when you do, so I actually do a sound check before I come on, and when I did the sound check, of course, it sounded great. And so now that we're actually in the show, of course, it would be just a tad bit choppy, and that is not what I want. So let me see if I can. All right, so we went out for a second. Y'all let me know if we're back. Please let me know if we are back on, and let me know if we're clear. We're clear. Okay, great. And are we back on? Because I want to serve y'all in excellence. I do not. It drives me insane if it's not coming across properly. So y'all please let me know. Okay, thank you, Donnell. Am I clear? Am I still choppy, or am I flowing better? Y'all all clear? Thank you, Ladair. All right, there go my people. Thank you, Ladair. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, you were frozen for a second. Now it's great. Okay, awesome. We are rocking and rolling. I don't want anything to get in the way of what will happen tonight. I don't want anything to get in the way of what we will be discussing, which is legacy. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all good. So now that we're all clear, y'all go ahead, take a moment to like and share this broadcast so we can go ahead and get started. You're flowing like thank you, Trey. I think that's okay. Yeah, that's all right. All right, so y'all go ahead and like and share. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest, which I am so excited to have. She is absolutely amazing. Do you hear me? She is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Sharita. Tonight we are going to have Miss Shannon Galloway, actually Elder Galloway, and I am excited tonight because she is a woman of God that have come into my life. Yes, Olivia, and this woman has been a part of that journey. Let me tell you that right now. She has been a part of it. She's been a part of my healing. She's been a part of my process. I'll just say that she's very special to me, and there have been definitely parts of my broken heart that she has spoken to, ministered to, and have helped mend it on this journey that I have been on. And I am beyond thankful to have her in my life. She is a phenomenal woman, a business owner. Her and her husband actually own the Rib Cage out in McDonough, Georgia, and she is also a therapist or a clinic, a counselor with Eagles Landing Counseling Service. And I'm actually going to bring her on in because I am ready and so excited to hear what it is that she has to say. And so yes, Olivia, it is definitely a process, and she has been a powerful part of my process. But before we get started, I want to share something from her page, and her information is actually at the bottom of the screen. Please follow her on Facebook. I am Pearl's daughter, or Pearl's daughter, and then on Instagram, I am Pearl's daughter. So please follow her. Please follow her on there. And if she says something tonight that blesses you, y'all know I am a firm believer in sowing, in good word. And so if it's something that hits you tonight, please make sure that you bless her, sow into her, and I would greatly appreciate that. And so let's go ahead and play this little clip that I think that we'll use to actually lead into our conversation on tonight. And so I am going to share my screen, play a little bit, and then we will get started.
The pearl is created by a lot of sand and debris getting into the clam. And because the clam is irritated, it begins to cause friction. And with this friction comes a beautiful stone, the pearl. And my mother's middle name was Pearl, and she was such an innovator. She was a prophetess, she was a seamstress, she was very creative. There's so many things that she did, and so many things that she taught me, so many things that she put inside of me. And I'm so grateful that now all of those things that I learned from her, that they're starting to manifest in me. And so with a lot of debris and with a lot of dirt and with a lot of friction and a lot of irritation, I am now coming into who I am supposed to be. I am Pearl's daughter.
Hello, Pearl's daughter.
Hello, hello. I forgot about that video.
Oh, leave it to me.
You will find it under a rock. You will find it wherever it is. You will find it.
I will. And listen, and you better believe that it is all for the intention and for the greater good of what we're doing on tonight. And
Yes.
tonight we are discussing legacy. Tonight
Yes.
we are discussing what that looks like from your perspective. and from different people's perspective. I think that that legacy is something that is very, very important, and I know that
Mhm.
it means something different to everybody. And so I
Right.
wanted to start off with that particular clip because your mother, I know, played a major role in your
Mhm.
development, who you are as a woman, who you are as a wife, who you are as a minister. Just every role
Mhm.
that you serve in the kingdom of God, I know that your mother played a role in that. And so I kind of want to start off the conversation with, what does legacy mean to you? And what was your most influential um, part as far as your legacy is concerned? And I know that your mom had a lot
Yeah.
to do with it. So I just wanted you to
Mhm.
share on what legacy is to you and what was your major influence in regards to your legacy.
It's really interesting that we are doing this weekend. Next weekend, I'll be in Illinois so that we can celebrate Maddie P. Dawson weekend. Her birthday is April 23rd, and we do something every year to celebrate her, and to bring other people that have not had opportunity, didn't get a chance to meet her, that they learn something new about her every week, every year that we do something for her. But I will
Yeah.
say that legacy to me doesn't just happen. It's made. I think it's made. When I think about legacy, I think about a bequeathing or a transmission of. So whatever that is, whether that's a transmission or a bequeathing of wealth,
Yeah.
or whether that is something that is learned, that came from our grandmothers and our mothers, and just the family in and of itself.
Yeah.
Even for my dad, there's certain things that I have gotten from my dad as well. That's a part of all of what legacy is. And there's so many things that have been very influential as far as legacy. But one of the things I can say is that um, we have been, and just generation after generation, that God is the center of everything. We have, um, no matter what situation was taking place, at the end of the day, when you do control all delete or on a computer and things like that, it's going to go back to a default. And
Yeah.
the legacy for what has been in my family is that regardless of what's taking place, no matter what's going on, our default is going to be God. That's where we end up back at. And I think that was one of the most influential things that I got from my dad, that I
Wow.
got from my mom, from my grandmother, because I saw my grandmother praying all the time. She was an intercessor. I saw my mother praying all the time. She was
Wow.
an intercessor. I saw her praying for countries that I'm like, Ma, like I'm watching her, she watching CNN and the news and stuff, and she would be
Really?
praying for these countries. She used to pray. One time she was praying for South Africa for so long, and she prophesied 10 years before that Mandela would be free. And I have to tell you that people looked at her like she was crazy, but she prophesied that and she kept speaking it. She kept speaking it, and
Yeah.
Mandela, he was free. But I saw her be an intercessor, and so that's one of those most that was so influential to me, to see my grandmother and my mother, how they prayed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. You know what? That I think that's phenomenal because one of the points that you brought up, that I think that we sometimes we fail to connect, is that when it comes to legacy, it's
Hmm.
something that you see. It's
Yep.
something that you witness. It's something
Yep.
that you view. And I also
Mhm.
think that it's something that you actually you grow into. Because if it's something that you grow
So
up
true.
watching, because legacy, and tell me if you agree or not, legacy can be good and bad.
Yep. Yep. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely, and that's one of the things I would say about that too. And I totally agree with the fact that you grow into it. You
Mm,
grow into it. It's not just plopped on you. You literally grow into it. But
yeah,
that you're right about legacy. The same way that there are certain things and biblical principles and whatever else that that comes through your lineage. is one thing. There can be negative things and a legacy of, of trauma, of, things that have gone on in the family that have just gone from one to another to another to
Yeah.
another. It can be good and bad. You're right. Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah, it definitely can. And legacy can be something that you don't necessarily ask for. So I want you to share that part. I know we're deviating a bit from the conversational guide, but we're flowing organically. But let's talk a little bit
Oh,
about that, about how that is something that, have you ever felt at any point in time that what you grew up in, what you've witnessed and what you saw, that you were almost forced or mandated to
mm-hmm,
carry that mantle? How
mm-hmm.
did you ever at any time struggle with, no, this is who I am. No, this is what, I've been called to do, because this is something that I've witnessed is evidently something, a part of your, your lineage. Have you ever struggled with that? And if so, how did you press through that?
Wow, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. I mean, the struggle is real.
Yeah,
Um, because I think that there were certain expectations when we were growing up, of things that was expected of us, and then as we grew more, we started to hear, things became more precise as
yeah,
far as ministry, as far as what we were supposed to do, and a lot of what my mom did. I started to see clearer that I was carrying her mantle as well.
right.
Um, to be quite honest, I did not want that mantle at all, because it was a lot of responsibility. And just like I mentioned before, I continually saw my mom on her knees. And I'm like, I do not, I don't mind praying and stuff like that, but I was like, to be just continually interceding for, and all, I was like, ooh, it wasn't glamorous. It didn't look glamorous, but
Right.
I saw the manifestation of those prayers and
Wow.
things like that. And so sometimes it's like you don't want the weight and the responsibility of
Yeah.
the mantle that's on you. But the
Yeah.
other part of it is, the more you run, the more trouble you're gonna run into. You're gonna
Always.
keep running into different kinds of opposition,
Always.
different kinds of things, and you're gonna be thinking it's everybody else's fault when it's really you. Because God has put you in a place, put a mantle on you, and you're deciding you want to go this way, and He
Yeah.
said go that way. And so
Right.
making it harder for ourselves. So I agree. I had to grow into it,
Wow.
because like I said, it wasn't glamorous. This was nothing that I really wanted to do. My mama was always on the side of her bed.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
always on her knees, and she was always praying. And I'm just like, Lord, and you're praying for people that, something, in my opinion, didn't deserve to be prayed for. So like, so I said, you got to grow into it, right? Because I
Right.
was
Right.
like,
Right.
I had to get
Right.
to the place where you can just pray for people,
Talk
and it don't
about
matter if they
tell
deserve
the
it or
truth.
not. And sometimes you just want it to be normal. But
Yeah.
when certain mantles that are placed on your head, God calls you away, and you're not able to do and be a part of certain things, and spend your time in a certain way, because God is calling you, because I need you to pray and I need you to intercede for somebody else. So, but like I said, it didn't look glamorous. I ran from those type of things, but I do know, at this point, I accept it. Absolutely accept it.
Yeah. What was it? Was there a moment, or was there like a defining um something that you remember where you was like, okay, all right, Shannon, you're gonna have to just settle on into this. You're gonna have to go
Yeah.
ahead, get on the horse, and you just gonna
Mhm.
have to take it. Was
Right.
there like a defining moment for you?
I think probably when my mom passed away. She passed away in 96. And one of the things I remember her saying all the time is, she used to tell us all the time, you must get your own relationship with God. Have your own relationship for God. I will not always be here to pray for you. I will not always be here to walk you through it. You must have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
And so when she passed away, it was like, I was just lost, because
Yeah.
my mother was a mother. She was a woman of faith. She was one, like I said, that interceded for others, that I saw people get well when she prayed for them. I saw people get delivered when she prayed for them. And so when I saw my mother laying there, and I was like, surely, Lord, after all of this and her being the woman of faith, surely you're going to raise her up.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when that did not happen, it put me in a whole different space of really having to get to know God for who he is, and trusting that
Yeah.
his sovereignty, trusting that he knew better. And I
Girl.
promise you, God, that ain't nothing easy. It's not easy. And to just trust God that much, it's like, whoa. And expect, and people need to understand that, because sometimes we expect a different outcome. I expected a different outcome. I expected a different outcome losing my brother. But we gotta trust that his sovereignty, that he's sovereign, and that he knows better. And so it pushed me into having to get a deeper relationship with him, because when my mom passed away, I was in the depression for at least a year.
Yeah.
A whole year.
Yeah.
Until I got to the place where I just didn't want to be sad no more. And I started praying and asking God, like, help me through this process. And he showed me. He didn't show me anybody else. He showed me. And he showed me things that needed to change in me. And as I accepted those things, bucking, because at first I'm like, I'm upset because you took my mother, and I feel like the church took my mom too, because she spent so much time with them, so I felt some type of way. But when I started seeking God, he showed me. He showed me where you need to get yourself together.
Wow.
And so because of that relationship and that foundation, I was able to receive what God was saying, and I was able to start connecting with him in a way that I had never connected with him before.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is phenomenal. I had to take my glasses off because I was getting a little foggy. A bit.
Yeah, just a little.
because I'm of course dealing with a fresh wound that I can relate, where you walk in the expectation of God, and you're like, God, I expect you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not looking for anything else. And so I thank you for your transparency and being real, because sometimes when you walk with these mantles and you walk with these responsibilities, and sometimes it's what I tell people is that, especially when you look at somebody and you say, oh my God, they're so strong. Oh my God, they're holding up so well. Or, oh my God, they're doing, all of these phenomenal things. I have to be very clear and intentional to correct them and say, no, this is the strength of God that you're with.
Nothing but.
There's no way I could have done this on my own. And so just kind of going back to, because I'm familiar with your ministry. I'm familiar with how you move. I'm familiar with the impact that you have, and just the weight of the mantle that you carry. And for you to carry it so well, I know that it's the strength of God that carries you. I know that it's the strength of God that pushes you through, because every morning you wake up, you're not going to wake up wanting to do this.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And it's important that we are honest and we are real about, no, this isn't something that I wanted. It's something that I said yes to. It's something that I accepted. But with that being said, what benefits would you say that, even though you broke the system, even though you were like, listen, God, I'm not really trying to do this, what benefits and manifestations have you seen through your yes?
Through my yes, gosh, I've seen such a transformation in my own life. I've seen God transform my heart. Because like I said, when my mom passed away, I was at a place where, I was upset with the church and things like that. And I felt justified in doing so. And I just that's how I was going to keep it.
Yeah.
But I felt the transformation of my own heart, my own mindset, and then being able to minister to other people. out of what I have experienced, out of that feeling, that place of unforgiveness, out of that place of bitterness, and then being delivered from those things, and then being able to see others be delivered from some of the same things.
Yeah.
Some of the I was a job readiness instructor for a while there, one of the best jobs I had, because I got to speak into lives every single day of people that were broken, people that just were at the end of their rope. And
Yeah.
that's all I knew. I grew up with my parents getting people off the street, bringing them into the church, praying with them all night, getting them delivered, and the people that everybody thought less of, that I ain't gonna deal with them. Look at them, they dirty, they this, they that. But that I saw my parents love on them. And so I was ready when I got to be a job readiness instructor, because this is ministry. This is what I grew up doing. And I got to see those benefits of touching people's lives, which is awesome for me. I just love to be able, it used to be kind of, because I didn't want to share my story. I didn't want to share where I came from, because you at some point you feel like you sister such and much. And so you feel like, if they don't know, but when God broke me, he broke me. And so at that point, I ain't had nothing to lose. I'm gonna share my story because this gonna help somebody else, and I'm not ashamed, because at the end of the day, the glory goes to God, and that's the whole part. That's the end of the whole thing, is that He gets glory, and we move ourselves out of the way. So, just being able to touch other people's lives and feeling the transformation myself. When you taste something yourself and you try to tell somebody else about it, and be like, listen, I'm not just telling you to try it. I tasted this, and this is good. Let me tell you. And so, because I was able to experience the transformation and how He changed my mindset and changed my heart, I can tell you from experience, I know I tasted this, and I'm telling you, you should taste it too. Right. And so, those are the benefits.
Wow. And you know what? And I totally agree with you, because it's one thing, like you said, your mom said you got to have your own relationship with God. You got to have your own relationship with God, because the truth of the matter is that God reaches us in very unique ways.
He does.
He reaches us in very modified. I like that word, modified ways. And the way that He connects with you is very different than the way that He would connect with me, and with different people. And so what I love about God is that He will utilize your story, Shannon's story. Woo! Everything that Shannon have seen, and I'm waiting on this book, but I'll talk about that later.
Yes, ma'am.
but everything that we've seen, or everything that we've been through, God has meant for that experience to be a guide or life altering for somebody else. And your story, I'm looking forward to people hearing it. I'm looking forward to people reading it, because it is phenomenal. It is definitely a game changer. I am echoing. All right, so we are going to fix that. So, but before I fix the echo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out, Shannon. I'm going to come back in. But but while I'm doing that, if you could tell me, when you're 90 years wise, right? 90 years wise. I'm not going to say 90 years old. 90 years wise.
Okay.
What do you want people to say about you at your birthday celebration?
Okay. You want me to answer now? You want me to wait?
No, go ahead and answer now. Go ahead.
At my celebration, I want them at 90 years old to be able to say that I am wise, that I gave wise counsel. I want them to say that I would tell it like it is, straight, no chaser. I want them to say that that I genuinely cared about people. That I'm genuinely caring about people, that I'm for the underdog, and that I'm passionate about what I do. And then that's one of the things that my mom, she was for the underdog. Everybody that looked like they was down and out, that's the one she went for. That's the one she tried to pick up. And I find it, without even trying, I'm for the underdog, I'm for, and so, but just to say that I was compassionate, that I was passionate about, what I believed in, those type of things. But just that she real.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it. So, what have you passed on to your children that
Mhm.
you want a part of your legacy? What is it that you want them to look back and say, you know what, that was something that my mom gave me. That was something that she
Mhm.
instilled in me. That's something that
Mhm.
I am determined to carry
Yeah.
on into generation after generation. What is it that you want your kids to take from you?
Um, I want them to, number one, never give up. Um, and one of the things that my mom used to say, never let them see you sweat.
Yeah,
You may cry and that pillow may be filled with tears, but when you get out there and do what you got to do. And
yeah,
you never let them see you sweat. But that persistence. And one thing I can say about both of my daughters, they were beyond my years. You know,
yeah,
they kind of just walked into some stuff, and they're willing to take the chances, and they're willing to try new things. And my mom was so innovative. She nothing really stopped her, you know. And so I would tell them, number one though is the relationship with God.
yeah,
And that's because it's the most important thing, and it's your default. And I know that already that legacy is happening, because I have been in situations or things that have gone on, and my oldest daughter Portia would call me and she would give me a word. If something else was going on, Shania has come to me and put her hand on my head, and she took my hand and said, Mom, I just want to pray with you. And so I know that legacy is already carrying over, and that's one of the main things, is that legacy carries over. But I don't want them to think that anything, no barrier, that you, and nothing can stop you.
that's
You
right.
know, if you think you can do it, and if something you want to do it, go for it.
Yeah,
Go for it. You know, and so those are the things I think I really, outside of that relationship with God first, I don't want anything to stop them. Whatever they see that they want to do, I just want them to go for it and be able to do it.
yeah, yeah. Wow. And I love that. Hold on. It does sound like there's a bit of an echo. Hold on. Let me see something. Is that? Can you still hear me?
Uh-huh.
Can you still? Okay, great. But yeah, but and I love that because I've already seen the fruit
Yeah.
of your installation, if you will. Because you look at kids, or even if you don't have kids, because I also want to address what does legacy look like for somebody that may not have children, or what does legacy look like for somebody that may be establishing legacy, because legacy isn't necessarily something that everybody thinks about. It's
That's
not
true.
something that
Hmm.
everybody thinks that, oh, I'm building something, or this is generational, or this is something that I'm doing. um
Right.
and this couldn't be a more on time topic, because one of the things that I really, of course, have been settling into, I'm like, Lord, okay, of course we would have this topic right about now, but it would be my brother's legacy.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
he didn't have any children. He wasn't married. And so as I, was just kind of processing over these, few last 2 weeks, what has really just felt really, really long. It's just,
Hmm.
okay, so
Hmm.
what parts of him, what was it about him that will still remain in the earth,
Yeah.
even now that he's gone?
Yeah.
Even now that he's no longer physically here, what is it? Because legacy isn't something that we really talked about with him, right?
Yeah.
Because of course, he didn't have kids, he didn't have children, and so I want to go back to that, and I want to ask you, for somebody that does not have children, or somebody that is just now maybe establishing legacy, what would you tell them, or how would you encourage them to let them know that their life is still worthy? What they do
Yeah.
still matters. Everything
Hmm.
that they say yes to God, or whatever it is that they do, is still important,
Yeah.
because even though you may not necessarily be leaving it to a child, or leaving it, to a wife or something like that, you're still leaving something. And
Absolutely.
so, what would you say to that person that doesn't have children, or isn't married, or they may
Yeah.
question whether or not they even are establishing a legacy? And one thing, you typically, legacy is also associated with men.
Yeah.
It's associated with my father's name, and blah 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 blah.
Absolutely.
So even with women, what would you say to
Yeah.
women that may think, okay, legacy doesn't apply to me? Yes, it does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Legacy applies to everyone. And that's whether you have children or not. Because before we were formed in our mother's womb, our womb, his womb, her womb, he already knew our purpose. He already knew that he had something that he wanted us to do. And so he already had something ready. So we are on this earth, and whether we know it or not,
Yeah.
people are watching us. People are watching us, and it may be, you may be at work, it may be somebody in your family, it may be your friends. You have no idea who's watching you. And so when I was talking about the definition that I think of is a transference and a transmission of something, is the things that God has put inside of you that you may be transferring over to people that you may not even hear about till way down here. That somebody says, you know what, you said and you spoke this into my life, or I saw you handle this situation, or I saw you minister in this way, or what, and it just attached to them, and it's something that you started growing in them, and whether you know it or not, that thing is growing in them. Your legacy is already started because of what they saw you do, because of what they heard you say, because of they saw how you carried yourself, and it just resonated with them. And it's something that they remember. And so you're carrying on legacy without even knowing that you carried on legacy, without even knowing that you didn't sit there and go, I wonder what I want to, none of that kind of stuff. But because God already had purpose on every single person. And I just want to tell everybody, you matter. You matter. There is purpose on your life. And whether you know it or not, somebody is watching you, and you are blessing somebody. You are giving somebody else hope, and you don't even know it. And so we can't think of it as small things, because God, the purpose that he's put in all of us, it's resonating with somebody else. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Let's go to some of these comments. Anthony, which I absolutely
I
love.
love Anthony. I love you. I love you, Anthony. I miss you.
Look, that's from one PK to another.
Absolutely.
He said, "Come on here, preacher." And then Carl said, "Your legacy will live in the earth through those, that you may not know, because you have to always assume that somebody is looking at you."
Yeah, absolutely.
And even if you're by yourself, God is still producing something, and he's still growing something, and he's still creating something in you. So something is always growing. And that's one of the things, because even that's one of the things that blows my mind about God, because even in moments where you're like, are you really speaking right now?
Right.
Are you really saying something right now where I have to take notes? And in moments that we may not want to hear him, or in moments that we may not want to get instruction. So talk about what about those Shannon, where you're like, really right now?
Now, let me tell you something. This is what my mama used to say when it was good preaching. She used to go, whoa, 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 whoa. So, oh my God. So here's the thing, man. So many, and that I think comes from the foundation again as well, because just because we know God and we have relationship with God, it don't mean we always walking in the spirit. We are fleshly creatures. We ain't always walking in the spirit. Then you might catch me on some days. But I want to be forgiven. But you might catch me on some days. We are not always walking in the spirit, and sometimes that's why it's major when Jesus said, "Not my will, but your will be done." It might have sounded like, okay, but no. When you get yourself in the midst of something, and you got your mind, and again, my mom, she would say, when you know and you'll know her. When you know you'll know her what you wanted to do, okay? You are set on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And here come God with that's not it. That's not my will. That's not it. And then you gotta some kind of way make this mesh between my will and his will.
Yeah.
And you gotta put one, and then it ain't meshing. My will gonna end up here, and his will need to be up here. And it ain't easy, Adelia. It's
No,
not easy because sometimes you feel like I want to do this and I feel justified in doing that. Or I want to do this and these people done me wrong. And I feel like I just want to do this. And I think we gonna all feel better. If I could just do this smidge of a thing, everybody gonna feel better.
yeah.
But God won't even give you that. He won't even give you that satisfaction. But I feel like the benefit of it all is finding out that dying of flesh, that even at the end of the day, that when we go with his will, a little more of us dies each and every time. And then it gets a little easier to do his will.
Yeah.
But it's a struggle, and it's gonna be one till we get to glory.
Hello. Look, like Anthony said, please forgive me on those days, Jesus. Yes, God.
Amen. And amen. Amen.
And you know, we have to be careful because we could jeopardize what God has laid out as far as legacy is concerned.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful because I'm not, let's be real. There are some days where I'm like, Lord, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to respond. And God is like, but see, everything else that I have set up and laid out, though, doesn't coincide with that.
Absolutely.
And so like God really talks to me this way, right? Like if you respond that way, then I can't do. You're gonna block what it is I'm trying to do. And so we have to be very mindful of how we respond and always understand that we're jeopardizing something. Sure that Jesus had days where he, Lord, Lord, just let me go in on him. Just please, just let me. And
like you said, I throw all this off this table.
But you have to consider, okay, what's going to be greater? What's going to be more important? What's going to have the greatest impact? And and the thing with legacy is that everything, literally, what I'm learning is that everything literally coincides.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's not always what we want.
That's right.
It's not always what we want to do. It's connecting with people we don't necessarily want to connect with.
That's right.
Let me go a bit further. It's hanging out or marrying.
Come on.
Something that may not look like something that you wanted to marry.
Come on.
It may be it just varies. It could be talking to somebody and befriending somebody where God, okay, now typically, you know, doggone well, I would never.
Yeah. Come on.
Be friends with this person, but because God has something more deeply rooted, because like Carl mentioned earlier, he said you both are planting legacy right now. We don't know who's gonna see this years from now. We don't know who's gonna
Carl.
And their purpose is going to be challenged, and they're going to want to do something, and they're going to start talking to God. And Sarita, that's the whole goal of this show, is to be up in somebody's business, man. Yes, ma'am. But that's the whole point, you know, of this show, this series. I am my morning coffee is to get in your business, and it's for God to touch places that you know, that we are protective of, because sometimes we're protective of those parts that hurt, and we don't want anybody touching it because it's too sensitive.
Listen, they can go to Pearl's daughter for this, but I have one called Soul Excavation, and that's talking about that, where God gets into those sensitive rooms. You know, when you have a room, when you have a house that you decide you're gonna renovate, you got to go in these rooms. Some rooms gonna be locked. Some rooms you got to kick the door down, and some rooms when you go in there's all kind of trash, muck, and everything like that. And it's like, oh. And so it's the same thing in our soul. We got to let God get into them rooms that we boarded up. We don't want him to get in there because it's too dirty. There's too much stuff in there, and I don't want to really like he don't already know. He just waiting for you to invite him in so that he can clean it up. And sometimes we guard those private areas. We guard those areas that hurt, those areas that they just too sensitive, and I can't let nobody in. And then God just waits for the invitation because he already know. Just unboard it, unlock the door, and let him in. That's all. And you said something else I thought was very interesting as well when you were just talking about sometimes we jeopardize our legacy. And it just made me think of Romans 8:28, how all things work together. And sometimes we can look at everything that's going on, and sometimes it can look like a total mess and everything is in disarray. And now you telling me all this, God is going to scrape all this together and make this work for my legacy. But that's what Romans 8:26, it says all things work together for the good of them that love him and are called according to his word. Absolutely.
All
All things.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Thank you.
And you know what? Part of the reason why I did, like I said, I'm really trying to move with intention, right?
Yeah.
Trying to be really intentional here. One of the reasons why I decided to do Legacy series in April was because this would be the month, right, that we would talk about the legacy of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because he died on one day and rose 3 days later.
Yeah.
And all of us are a harvest of Jesus being planted and God planting that seed. And so I thought it would be befitting to do a legacy series because here we are. We are the legacy of Jesus Christ. Let's talk about it.
Wow.
And I know that no, I won't touch on that because that can get a little mucky. We don't have much. But what I will say is that I really think that an establishment and an understanding of the fact that you are a kingdom kid and that you have an inheritance will solve a lot of mental health problems.
You know, and you know. Man, listen. If and I'm finding that more and more, if people just absolutely bought into the fact that he already paid the price.
Come on.
So many things, and you are so right, that we wouldn't even be dealing with because people are too busy still feeling like they're not good enough. And that why would you consider me? And why would there be this? And why would well, none of us was worthy. None of us was worth anything until he died for us. That we wasn't worth nothing. And the inheritance of what that death did for us. Woo! And I mean, we're royalty. We are royalty. And listen, it ain't like Prince Philip, okay? Because Prince Philip just passed away. He married to the queen, and he was never destined to reign. You hear me? He wasn't going to never be anything but the queen's husband. He was never going to be king. He wasn't going to never be man. Okay, but that's not what we have here. When he died, our inheritance was we became royalty. We are kingdom citizens. And people, if they understood how much God loved them, how much he cared about them, when they think ain't nobody else listening, God is still there. He's still listening. Oh my God. And I just sometimes have to think about, man, oh, how you love me, God. And I'm like, and I feel special. You know, I'm just saying. And I ain't trying to make nobody else feel bad, but man, how you love me. Okay. And I'm just like, everybody else need to go, get some of that. Because he is enough for all of us. He loves us that much. It's enough for everybody. But people need to understand you are royalty.
Thank you. And you know what? And when I was reading about, because God talks about inheritance. Yeah. And he talks about, passing things on. And when I was looking up, oh God, what was the word in particular? There was a word specifically. Oh, heir. The word heir. You cannot receive the inheritance or be the heir to something until that person dies.
Come on.
So our flesh has to die. Come on. You want to talk about it?
Whoa.
It has to die.
Yes.
With this flesh desires, it has to die. You have to kill it in order for you to truly, yes, Carl, to be destined to reign and rule.
Right.
There are rules to this. There are you don't just take an inheritance.
Come on. That's like
it. If you inherit $1 million, my suggestion is that you get, especially if you've never seen that kind of money, you need to get with a financial coach. I need you to show me what to do with this here good money.
Yes.
Because I've
Yes.
never had it before. And so it's the same thing
Absolutely.
as a spiritual inheritance. When you're inheriting this thing that God has left to us, research and see what you have access to. Because
Ooh.
otherwise you will be robbed of your inheritance because somebody is going to come along and try to talk you out of who you are. They're going to
Access
come along and
remnant.
try to talk you out of your inheritance. And so you know what? As we wrap up this conversation, what were some things that almost talked you up out of your inheritance, out of your legacy? Like, what were some things where you're like, okay, you know what, devil, I see you.
Yeah. I think for me, a lot of times, especially early on, um, I would let people and what they did and what they did to me really affect me.
Yeah.
To the place that I'm just like, you straight cut off. I'm not dealing with you or none of those type of things. But and it just made it got me to a place of being just hard, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people were I wasn't approachable and none of those type of things, and I didn't care that I wasn't approachable. And like Jamal Bryan said in that message, it's bad when you get to the place that you don't care that you don't care. And I didn't care. And
Yeah.
so when I had to get to a place that what I wanted mattered, it didn't matter as much as what God wanted for me. And I had to understand that on this side, girl, do you see all of the stuff and the promises that's on this side? Then you letting somebody how they treated you and whatever else happened talk you out of what God wanted you. Because I mean, people, you got to remember sometimes we can do certain things that that will taint our testimony. And so, and we have to be mindful of that. And I try to be so mindful of that because sometimes I'll be thinking in my head, I went straight through how all of this was going to work out. And then, you know, you got, just like on TV, you got to rewind, be like, I can't taint my testimony because I don't know who's watching.
Right.
You know, and then, but there have been times when I'm like, I don't care who's watching, you know, and I paid for that.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, it was more people that I used to let get to me, but we ain't there no more. But that used to be me.
Go God! I'm glad you're not there no more. I'm glad you're not, because just in me knowing you, Shannon, and everything that you have to offer, man, I'll just say that your very presence alone. There have been days, man, where just watching you gracefully deal with things that have really, 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 really blessed me. And it challenged me to look at myself, and it challenged me to look at how I walk and how I deal with people. To be how I even deal with myself.
Yeah.
Because we don't give ourselves enough grace.
That's
like
right.
and we don't allow ourselves enough humanity. And we jump on the bandwagon with everybody else beating you up. No, stop joining everybody else beating you up. But I think this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation as it pertains to legacy. I think that you've shared so many gems, so many nuggets. I do want to ask one last question before we do one last thing.
Okay.
But again, I just really, really thank you so much for
my pleasure, you know.
And being transparent and all of this. But what would you say, or what words would you give to somebody that that maybe wants to plan their legacy, that wants to the first thing that came to mind was estate planning, but not necessarily estate planning, but as far as what safeguards would you say need to be in place, whether that be the word, whether that be people around you, what safeguards would you put in place to protect the legacy that exists on the inside of you?
And that's what I'm glad you said that, because one of the things that I would say, one of the first things is guard your legacy, because everybody around you is not supposed, they may taste and see and be just like I was talking about Prince Philip. He got to taste, he got to see, but he didn't get to reign. And so everybody that's around you is not necessarily supposed to be a part of your legacy, and they may sap you of some things. And so guard your legacy. When you know what you're like, guard your legacy. I would also say, know your purpose. Because when we're establishing legacy, regardless of if it's coming from generation to generation, we should be evolving, and we
Yeah.
should be seeing how to strengthen that and how to make it better. So we don't have to get stuck in, oh, this is just what it is. No,
Right.
God continually is giving us new things, and he continually doing a new thing in us. So we got to continue to evolve. And the last thing I would say about the legacy and things is authenticity. Just being, to thy own self be true.
Oh, man.
To thy own self be true. No representatives. Be who you are.
Yes.
You're not trying to impress nobody or anything like that. This is who you are. This is who God created you to be. To thine own self be true. Because if you're trying to continue a legacy and pass on a legacy, how are they supposed to get that legacy if you giving them the pseudo you and it's not the real you? What kind of legacy? What kind of legacy do you have? So I say be authentic, and to thy own self be true. So those would be my main things. And then I would always say, because of course I always have to go back to the word, and that would be my foundation for anything that I was doing, any type of legacy that I was trying to leave, is making sure that God is the foundation of it. Absolutely.
Right. Mm-hmm. Man. The ground don't crumble when the Lord is up under there.
Come on.
Baby, that's solid ground.
Yeah.
That's solid ground.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I have, one of the things that I wrote down, as God has been just speaking, especially over these last 2 weeks, is I am hinged on Him, literally, like a doors swinging open, right?
Yes.
But they don't become detached because they're hinged.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Lord, even though I may be swinging, even though my emotions may be swinging and they may be all over the place, and even though that I may be here and there, one thing that is established is that I'm hinged on you. So even though I may be blowing in and out, however I may be feeling, God, you are solid. And one of the things that you can always carry with you, I think one of the main I guess definitive moments that you're leaving legacy is when you see your children respond, or not even your children, because some people don't have kids.
Right.
So let's be clear. Legacy doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have children.
That's
but
right.
When you have people that respond to what you're pushing and what you're giving out. The very first thing that AJ said to me when my brother died, he said, "Well, I know what you did first." I was like, "And what was that?" He was like, "You prayed."
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, okay. I did actually.
So I was just saying that was true. That was true.
That is true. That is very true. And so before we move forward with the final thing that I wanted to do, I would love to pay absolute honor to my pastor, Corey Hambrick. Hi, Pastor Corey. Thank you so much for tuning in. He is the pastor of the Life Church Christian Center in Conyers, Georgia. You can tune in at 10 o'clock. And yes, that was a shameless plug. So
no problem.
So I hope y'all
Corey.
So I definitely hope y'all tune in tomorrow at 10. But yes, so before we go, I would love for you to drop 3 gems as it pertains to legacy in 120 seconds.
I already gave them to you.
Give them to the people that came late.
Okay. All right.
Look, you got 120 seconds. Look, he said, "Stop it." The Lord said, "Honor your leaders," and that's what I'm gonna do. Besides the fact I love you so much. So
those are true things that I do think about legacy. Honestly, I'm dedicated to guarding your legacy. And
I'm gonna make you full screen. Go ahead and give us 3 gems. Go ahead.
Okay. So guarding your legacy, and not taking it for granted. Again, God has called us into purpose, and he's purposed each and every one of us, and everybody's not supposed to be a part of your legacy. So guard your legacy. Secondly would be your purpose, knowing your purpose, being passionate about your purpose. And when you're passionate about it, other people are passionate about it. So even if you don't have children, other people have seen your purpose and they become passionate about it as well. And it motivates people. And lastly, like I said, be authentic. To thine own self, be true. And don't be the representative. Don't get sucked into sending out your representative because you think you will be rejected. And so be true, so that when you do pass on a legacy, it's not something that's plastic and that is not for real, that's pseudo, but they have something that they can actually grasp onto, that legacy is real. So be authentic, be true to yourself. And those would be the 3 things that I would give you.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you so much, Shannon, for being on with us this evening. I tried to keep this in an hour because I know that we could go on and on and on. But if y'all want Shannon to come back, I want y'all to type in the comments, come back. Y'all let me know, because I definitely want to encourage a real community, and y'all come on, y'all let me know, because I know that I want her to come back, because there's some more things that I definitely just want your expertise on, your perspective on, that is so very, very special. Carl said come back. Lolita said come back. Joanna said come back. Of course, Portia, of course,
that's my daughter. That's my daughter.
That's the legacy right there. That's the legacy of Pearl.
Absolutely.
Oh gosh. So yeah. So you know what? And I would love to have both of you all back. Actually, you and her, because I am working on like a mother-daughter series, but I'm not gonna give it all away, y'all. Just know that I'm working. Just know that I'm working. Right. Corey said, "Come back."
Yes.
All right, y'all, come on back. Sarita said, please come back. So awesome. So I want to encourage you all to please join us next Saturday, August 20. It's not August. Lord help me. April. Join us next week, April 24th at 7 p.m. We will have Elder Martin Moore. He will be coming on talking about legacy. That's going to be phenomenal. He is a 5th generational preacher, and I think we're going to have a wonderful conversation as it pertains to legacy in that regard. And I love you so much, Shannon.
I love you too. Always praying for you. I didn't want to embarrass you, because I'll just have to let everybody know what I call you, because I tell her you are my sunshine. I tell her that. When I text her, I'm like, hey, sunshine. She's been my sunshine for a long time now. So
thank you. Look, no embarrassment whatsoever. So we are, let's see. Thank you, Brashonda. Thank you. Yes, please watch the replay. So Shannon, please do not leave the backstage just yet. Once the show is over, I just wanted to share something with you real quick in the backstage.
Absolutely.
All right. So you all, Shannon, could you pray us out, please? And then we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Heavenly Father, we thank you and we praise you for this time that we spent together. And I just thank you, and I pray that something that was said on tonight encourage somebody, that I poured into someone, that somebody realized who they are, and that legacy. We have the best legacy, that we are royalty, that we're a royal priesthood, that you've cared about us before we were even born. You had purpose on each and every one of us. And so, God, I pray that tonight, that the people that walk away from this, and even anybody who watches the replay, that would be the message that they get from legacy, that we have a royal priesthood and that we are royalty. God, you loved us so much that you sent your son to die for us. And that is true love. That is true legacy. And so, Lord, we thank you and we praise you, God, for anybody that's going to hear this, that it would minister to them, and that it would make their baby leap, that they would want to get up and they would want to do something, that they would want to do legacy, that they want to start their own legacy, whether they have children or not. But I just pray right now, God, that you would be with each and every person here tonight, God, and let them know how much you love them, and wrap your arms around them tonight in case nobody ever else does. God, wrap your arms around them tonight and let them know how much you love them. We thank you and we praise you. Amen.
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 All right. So we love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for tuning in to our
Thank
Am I
you.
the Evening Brew. And I am so looking forward to having you all next week, 7 o'clock, same wherever the internet is. That's where we are. So I love y'all. Y'all have a good night. Take care.